Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I'm sitting down with Misty and Jane, who are the co-founders of Lark Owl Booksellers. And we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of fun stuff. But when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, all this crazy journey that we tend to be on and lessons learned along the way and fun stuff like that. So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to you both for taking the time to be here with me today. Why don't we just start with a little bit of background? Give us kind of the 10,000 foot view of who each of you are individually, and then tell us a little bit about Lark Owl.
Okay. I'll go first.
You go first.
So I'm a writer, and I've had lots of different jobs over the course of my life. And Misty and I say every job we've ever had led to opening a bookstore. So, but how that happened is I was volunteering with the Writers League of Texas, which is a wonderful organization. And I kept meeting authors, and our little bookstore had closed here in Georgetown. And so we started having author events in people's homes. We went to Misty's house several times, and my inner Katie Couric and Oprah Winfrey came out. And so I got to interview people I really wanted to talk to. And then it just kind of grew from there. But my background kind of it was important in supporting that push to just ask people, you want to come talk about your book? And everybody wants to talk about their work. So,
right. And then Jane decided we just need to start this bookstore because there wasn't one in Georgetown yet. And we obviously saw a need that we needed one so we could have events and talk about books in our community.
And nobody else was going to do it.
Nobody else was going to do it. So we had to do it. But Jane was smart, and she got a bunch of friends to help her. So she gathered up 8 other women that are in the industry that are in our community who had different specialties, ranging from accounting and legal work and marketing and book buying skills from the library and different things like that, and brought us all on board. So it was a team of 10 that actually established the business as it is. And so my role coming in, my background I was an entrepreneur in several different ways. I've been running a couple of different businesses, but my background is art and design. So I came in as the designer for the group. And so I did the entire design for the store itself and all the visual work, and now the merchandising and marketing work too.
Very cool. And how long has the bookstore been open?
In April, it will be 5 years.
Oh, amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. Well, this is actually a fairly good segue. I always like to ask kind of the general role that you get to play within the business today. And how I like to frame it is like the number of different hats that you get to wear on a daily basis. So let's start with that. Kind of talk us through the role or the different hats that you get to wear on any general given day within the business.
So I started this whole project as project manager, and then that just went directly into general manager when we opened the doors. And there are a lot of hats for a general manager. There were more than I thought. Because if you talk to anybody I went to high school with and told them that I kind of like am in charge of most of the technology here, they would go, "What?" That wasn't what she did. That was other things she was interested in. So that to me is funny that I'm the one that kind of knows who to call and what to do, what things to unplug and then plug back in, but also it's managing the staff and the like building maintenance and working with each team. So we have an events team, we have a book buying team, we have the marketing team, and so just making sure everything's coordinated. So it's a lot like an air traffic controller, who also makes sure that the building doesn't leak. So
yeah. And my role as one of the executive management team members, there's 3 of us: Jane, myself, and Rachel. So we all get together and talk about what we call bird business, which is all the brainstorming and planning and managing the entire business. And then when I go off and wear my other hats, I am the buyer for all of the retail gift items in the store. I do the merchandising and handle that inventory. I do the lead the marketing team to oversee social media and all of the outside visuals that leave the store in any form. And there's one more. I feel like there's another. Oh, there's events team that we're
Yes.
both on, and we both organize events. Yeah,
Mhm.
so a lot of hats. And then, of course, if something goes wrong, like we're constantly problem solving, because that's part of having a small business, is that whatever comes up, one of us has to figure it out in the moment. So
it's
you
this
never
big
know.
30,000 feet where we do our bird business with strategy and planning and all that, all the way down to Misty was sweeping out the window to change displays, you know,
Yeah,
this week.
yeah.
So
It's very glamorous. Very.
I love that. I love it. You know, it paints a really good picture of what I think many business owners and entrepreneurs experience on a weekly or daily basis. Which means I get to ask this really fun question, which is essentially when you look at all the different hats that you wear, like what's the first one that as soon as you can give it to somebody else and you're like, this is the next one to get off my plate, this is the one that's gonna go.
I think that's better for you to answer.
For me, it's the building maintenance and the technology first, then building maintenance. That's not as fun.
Yeah. My jobs are pretty fun. So
yeah.
Oh, I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the business. You know, I always like to ask, like, generally speaking, who does your business serve? But kind of the best way I like to frame this up is if I'm sitting in the audience and I've never heard of the business before, how would I know that I'm a really good fit to come check out the store? And or I might know somebody in my network that I want to, you know, refer over to y'all to come check it all out.
Well, first, people who love books, but you don't have to love books to love our bookstore. So everybody's welcome. And Misty works really hard with her team on the messaging that we send out. But what kind of the short version is that we say everybody's welcome. We just throw the doors open and everyone is welcome. And this is a community space. And everything we do, the decisions are worked around that. How does this serve the community? How does this build community? How does this serve the community? So
right. But I will say a typical Lark Owl customer, the ones who come in over and over again, is going to be somebody who usually is a reader, somebody who wants to connect with other readers and talk about books. They're a little bit quirky. They're
favorite.
They're very quirky. A sense of humor for sure. We're a little sarcastic around here, can be a little sassy. So people tend to like that. That's become really part of our brand, and they like to come in and joke around with us and just you know, have fun with that. And our space is really kind of creative and fun to be in, so people would like to come here and just sit and work too, and just enjoy the environment.
I'm really curious, and I'd love to kind of get some perspective on this. When it comes to, you know, selecting the books that you all carry, what does that process look like? How do you choose, you know, what books to buy and have on the shelves and ready to go for those that will come in the store? Kind of walk us through what that looks like, especially for those who have never been in a book business before. What's that like?
So we get this question a lot, and it's not what people think it is for the most part. So we have a book buyer. Her name is Christina, and she's wonderful, and she does a great job of curating our shelves. However, it's an art and a science. So we have wonderful publishers reps. Some of our favorites come in person and to see us, and they sit down with her 2 or 3 times a year to go over the catalogs. The book catalogs come out 3 times a year. And they tell her what they think is going to be a bestseller, what books publishers are going to put a lot of marketing money towards, what they think would sell in this region, and what they think might not sell in this region. So that's and so she listens to them and they listen to her. It's really is a conversation. And it's fun because the publisher reps, they're fun, and Christina's fun. So it's a good day when they come to visit. But also our staff impact our shelves tremendously. In fact, I was just talking to one of them today, and the staff make recommendations. I was trying to see if we have one. Shelf talkers, which is a little card where they write why they like that book, and we clip it to the shelf right under that book. And they just did that over the weekend, and 4 out of 5 copies of Howl's Moving Castle sold in a day, and because of the little shelf talker. And then also the horror choice by one of our booksellers, all of those sold in a day because the booksellers recommended it. And then we also, our customers influence what we buy as well. Like we we have a huge horror, back to horror, group of fans that are our customers, and then also romance. So those genres are constantly selling. And romance, that's typical for the industry, but horror was a little bit of a surprise to us. But we hired somebody who loved horror, and now we have a horror book club. So
yeah, we have many book clubs actually. We that are all genre specific and a huge following for those. Yeah,
Very cool.
We also try to have a lot of diversity in our book titles as well. So that's another part of the intentionality as far as making everybody feel welcome, is to offer diverse authors and titles as well.
I love it. I love the insight, especially as someone who has not seen that side of this type of a business. It's always exciting. I geek out on that stuff.
The hard part is there's so many choices, so many books coming out, and we only have so much space. So we have to really narrow it down and curate it. And it's hard to say no to some of them, honestly.
I can imagine. Yeah. So I'm curious, this is I like to ask some questions around marketing. It's an area that I absolutely love chatting about. But I also think it's really important because most, at least I've found, most business owners that I've had come across maybe don't have a super diverse background when it comes to marketing. It's not the easiest thing to kind of figure out, especially as a newer business owner or a smaller business owner. So I just like to, ask a few questions about it. Like what have you seen that's working? What has been, kind of philosophy, that sort of thing. So for y'all, as you've gone through the last almost 5 years of growing this business, what is the marketing philosophy? How do you get the word out there about the amazing things you have on the shelf, or the culture and experience that y'all have when someone comes into the store? What has been that philosophy?
Well, I think it started from the very beginning with really building a very specific brand. And that is key to being able to market successfully. So we started out with setting up our store to feel a certain way and look a certain way that reflected our personalities and the kind of people we were attracting. And then we continued that through everything else, through all of our visual merchandise that went out, all of our messaging, and all of our advertising as well. And people just became to recognize it. It's just a very clear Lark Owl style that people know, and it resonates with them. So that was kind of the first part, is having the Lark Owl personality all on its own. And so that's there. And then what we have found the most success with, it's really word of mouth is the best. So if we give them a really great experience when they come in and they buy one of our t-shirts, like I have on, we sell plenty of t-shirts and tote bags. We give everybody a branded bookmark when they leave. If they leave with those things, they're going to talk about it with their friends, and they're going to send their friends back in. So word of mouth is probably number one. And then number two for us has been social media, has been really successful. But what makes it so successful for us is not just posting something here or there, like, this is a book, read this book, or this is happening. It's doing videos. So we have done more and more videos, and the more authentic we are, the more off script we are, make fools of ourselves, laugh at ourselves. If we're just really being us on social media, then people love it and they react really well. They recognize a friend in us and they come in and talk about it. So our social media presence has really gone up just by being ourselves. Yeah.
You have to pack the ego away on that.
Yeah. You got to be really humbled.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
And you can't let the perfect get in the way of the good. It's just better to just kind of get it out there and be there. And then other forms of advertising we've messed around with, we've played with, doing print ads in different publications and different things like that. But they hit a small target, but not as much as social media does at this point.
Well, I'm curious, especially since y'all are retail, you have physical storefront, that sort of thing. How much does, just the storefront itself play into people actually walking in and checking things out?
Well, luckily, we are in the same building as an iconic Georgetown restaurant, and we'll give them a shout out to the Monument Cafe. We love them. They're great neighbors. And this building was a car dealership, and their part of the restaurant was the showroom, and our bookstore were the bays, so the service bays. Like half of this was a dirt floor, So
there's a warehouse quality to
it. So, but we're we're 2 blocks off of our gorgeous downtown historic square. So
The most beautiful square in Texas.
it is, it's branded the most beautiful square in Texas.
See, branding is good.
Yeah. And so people will walk up from down on the square. We're also right by the river where families hang out, so, and the park. So they'll walk from that direction as well. We're working on more visibility because we face a different side of the street than the monument. And so we get a little less visibility. So we're working on that with some different signage plans and things like that.
One of the challenges around signage, though, is that when you're in downtown Georgetown in a historic overlay, there are lots of rules and restrictions about signage. So it's a matter of working with the city to find out just how much signage we can do that's acceptable and go through the process of getting all that approved. So there's some red tape to make that happen.
Yes. In another world, Cal, probably 6-7 years ago now, I was actually a director for a Main Street organization up in North Iowa. So very familiar with all of the things that come along with that.
Well, then we have to give a shout out to them because we love our Main Street organization here in Georgetown. They are wonderful to us. We got a facade grant before we opened. So our huge, beautiful lighted sign, custom made sign was possible because of that facade grant. And we can't say enough good stuff about the Main Street project.
Oh, that is absolutely amazing. Yes, there are so many things, because this is a business related podcast. And if you're out there, you're watching this and you happen to be a part of a Main Street community or something similar in your own local market, there tends to be a lot of different resources out there for small businesses. And
we tell people that too, that look for a Main Street organization or something like that, because it's invaluable. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Yes. That is just the short answer. Yes. And there's so much more with it. That's really cool. No. And, the walkability, just given where y'all are located with some very historic types of tenants around, that alone can draw additional things. So it's kind of cool to just see all those different pieces come together. When we tend to talk marketing, especially in this, it tends to be more, here's what we're doing digitally, or it's referrals, things like that. But there's so much more to it. That's, if you have, an actual physical location, things like that, there's pieces that play into it. So let's shift off of marketing. Let's talk a little bit about kind of this crazy journey that y'all have been on for the last 5 years. Are there any kind of moments that stand out to you? And maybe there's a number of them, but I always like to ask about kind of roadblocks or hurdles that you've had to overcome over the last couple of years that stand out to you more than maybe some of the other speed bumps that has really allowed you to become the business that you are today, to become the business leaders that you are today. But are there any moments like that kind of stand out in your mind that you can share with us?
Yeah. Well, first we were open 10 months before COVID happened. So, and nobody had a playbook for that. And especially if you hadn't been in business very long, it was adapt, pivot. But if we hadn't been in business a year, so we didn't know which direction to pivot because we still didn't know everything that we thought our customers wanted. We were still finding out that information. So that's the biggest one.
Yes. And we had set up our business from the get-go as being all about the experience and bringing the community in. And then we're told there's a pandemic and nobody can come in. So, and we didn't really have a website online shoppable and ready to go because we were starting out with the people. So that required a major shift. And luckily our community stayed loyal to us and tried to help us out. So we just became as adaptable as we possibly could for their sake. And they'd call and do orders, and they'd do curbside pickups for books. We would do shopping appointments over the phone, like using video chat to actually point things out and pick stuff out for them. And we started shipping things. We did manage to get some things online, and we started shipping many, many puzzles out the door, many puzzles during COVID, puzzles and books. So we were just constantly having to kind of reinvent and try to find new ways to still get out to the community without literally getting out to them and them not coming in. And as it started to get a little bit safer, we did do something kind of unique in that we opened the store just for one family at a time to do shopping appointments. So we had a whole safety protocol in place, and they would come in, everybody's masked, and washed hands and all that. And we would let them select certain inventory that we curated for them ahead of time so they could have a shopping experience, but it was in a safe environment. And the community responded really
Yeah.
well to that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They helped us get through that time.
Yeah.
That and PPP money and all of, because we had part of the team were at home on the computer looking for grants, looking for other ways to get funding through those early days. And then the other part of the team were here and had turned the bookstore into a warehouse, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And then it's, of course, that was a long journey from the worst of it to as it started easing off to see how that was still affecting our business. And honestly, there's still aftermath affecting us now because it just affected the publishing industry in general. So we're still dealing with the hurdles from that time.
Yeah.
It's in hindsight, it's fun to kind of hear the different stories of how folks pivoted and changed, things like that. But now, not then, but now it's a little bit more fun to
we
hear
just really worked our butts off, basically, because we felt like we hadn't been open long enough to just give up. Like, we need to see where this bookstore can go. So we are determined to make it last through the pandemic so we can actually give it a real go. And so it's sure willpower and PPP money.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much what did it.
Yeah.
So what about for the future? As you look for the next 3 to 5 years, where does the business go from here? What's it look like as you kind of cast out a vision for the future here? How does your roles within the company change?
Well, our roles have changed a little bit already because we have hired wonderful staff. We have a great hiring process, and we can't say enough good things about our staff. They are they're on the younger side and they're eager to learn. They want more to do. They come to us with ideas. They have better ideas than we do most of the time. And so we're in the lucky position now to be able to start to hand off a few more things to them. So then that gives us a little more time in theory for the strategizing, the long-term plan, long-range planning, that sort of thing. So there's lots of things on the table, such as we've talked about another location. We've talked about, our version of a bookmobile. We've talked about lots of different things. And we haven't really chosen a direction, but we're open to lots of different things. But one thing we're doing right now, you want to talk about the renting the space?
Oh yeah. So we've been trying out different things to see about various income streams, because books are not the most lucrative thing to sell. I'll just say that out loud. You have to love it. But that is also why we do sell plenty of gift items that have a higher markup. We have a bistro located within the bookstore itself that we're managing too, that serves a great breakfast and lunch and coffee and cookies and all that good stuff. Cocktails too. So having a book club with cocktails is pretty great.
Yeah.
So we're building that up more, the bistro within, and then we're also doing a lot more with events. So we already host and sponsor a lot of events, from author events to book clubs to craft workshops to yoga classes, whatever seems like a good fit for our community for them to all meet together, then we will host it. So that's happening, but we're opening up now too for private events. So we've had people book bookstore weddings and anniversary parties and birthday parties, and we get to make it a special environment for them to have their occasion. So that's fun, and we're trying to expand that program out more through next year.
Because that also is a response to some of the aftermath of COVID. Before COVID, we were open 9 to 9 on the weekdays, and then Friday, Saturday till 11 p.m. And after COVID, people just were not coming in later. So we shortened our hours, and we close at 7 now on most days. And because we weren't getting traffic, very much traffic after that. So we said, well, let's be really targeted about those time frames and see what we can do. And we'd already had one little wedding in the bookstore that was a last minute thing because they got rained out at their venue. And so that couple was so happy, and we thought, well, let's see if some other people would want to do that. And people love a bookstore ambiance, you
Yeah.
know. So
Mm.
that's kind of our answer to some of the residual from COVID, that people really aren't always getting out as much as they used to.
Yeah. Yeah, they're holding back. But with another way that we're reaching out too is we try to partner with nonprofits.
Mhm.
We're actually starting our own nonprofit arm as well, so that we can be able to give books to the community through literacy projects.
Mhm.
And we try to reach out and work with schools and with other businesses too. So we're open to business sales and helping you, you know, find books for whatever is happening in your business. We had it was actually Dell, I think, you contacted us and had us find gifts to give to a whole department for Christmas presents. So, you know, we're open to any other collaborations like that. We actually love collaborating. It's really fun.
It's one of the things we're best at.
We're really good at collaborating. And we've already helped sponsor other small businesses, especially women-owned businesses. We really look for those and try to support them. So we've had several other small businesses that we've helped launch within our bookstore and have lasting relationships with them too.
Yeah.
That is all so cool. I am super excited to see where a lot of that continues to go and develop over the next couple of years. That it's just, yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of a wedding in a bookstore, but that just sounds so awesome.
It is. They're so
Really
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Really fun. And I guess that's one of the things we just sort of decided when we started this business, is that we could do everything our way. You know, there was no rules. Nobody was telling us what to do. There's no one way to do a bookstore. We can do it any way we want to. So we just come up with ideas all the time and try them and see what works. And so I think we're a very creative environment and different from your standard idea of a bookstore.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Well, we certainly covered a ton of ground in our conversation so far today. And I want to, be respectful of time, shift over to a couple rapid fire questions that really are just meant to kind of pull some additional, we'll call it wisdom nuggets out for the audience. So I've got a couple of them here for you. But when you look back at each of your journeys individually, going through pre-building this business to growing this business today, what would you say for you has been your key to success?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, and we both agree on adaptability. But if I had to say just for me, one lesson that keeps coming up is just ask. Just none of this would have happened if we didn't ask. Like, what would it be like if we got together and opened a bookstore? Or asking an author, like a really big author, to come to our bookstore. I mean, there's a lot of asking, and that's not a bad thing. And if you get a no, well, that just go somewhere else, try something else. So that's huge. Just ask. Yeah. How about for you?
That's good. That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to take risks. I guess that's it too.
Mhm.
That's just part of being an entrepreneur. You have to.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, if I could shift the question just slightly to advice. So if you were to give just one piece of advice for other business owners out there, and you could only give them one, because I'm sure you could give them a whole list of things on advice, but if you give them just one piece of advice to leave the conversation today, what would you give them?
Yeah.
Hire really good people.
Yeah.
And be very careful about that. We established a bookstore culture from the get-go, and then we try to instill that through. And so when we hire people, we're very mindful of, do they fit our culture? And 9 times out of 10, they do. And so get the good people in, give them responsibilities, let them contribute, and let them grow within your environment, because they will help you so much. And you just have to trust them. And being able to trust them has been one of our more recent lessons that I would love for every business owner to know, that you don't have to do it all yourself. You can trust your staff and let them take some of that load. And it's a huge relief.
It is. And it's fun for them, because then they get to try their hands. There's so many things that you learn in a bookstore as managing it that are good for any job that you have. So it's good experience, no matter what their previous work history is. But it almost is like, well, we're mentoring them as we're mentoring ourselves at the same time.
Yeah. A lot of mentoring.
Which is good, but it's like I said, it's a conversation. Yeah.
I love that. I truly love that. Well, let's shift over to one of my favorite rapid fire questions. And very on brand, on topic for our conversation today, and that's book recommendations. Does
Yay.
not have to be a business book by any means, but what would be a book recommendation you would give to the audience?
I am ready for you.
Yeah.
I was prepared for this one because this is the book that I'm about to start reading, and it's The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan. It's a historical fiction book, and we just got them in the store, and because we're going to be hosting this author in January for an event, and she's the one who wrote Codename Helene, which was a huge book as well, and so we're really excited to get her in the store. So I'm going to start reading this over Christmas vacation and be all prepared.
Yeah. So Misty was more prepared than me, because I wrote down some things that we don't have in the store right now, because we sold them. So the poet Maggie Smith, not the English actress, the poet Maggie Smith wrote a memoir called You Could Make This Place Beautiful. And we have a store on bookshop.org. Just go to that website and search Lark Owl, and we have book lists and book recommendations. And I think that one is on my recommendation list, but I'll double check when we leave this. And then I'm reading what's called an advanced reader's copy, which is one of the best things is books come down from the heavens every day here.
Free books.
So we get books before they come out, and that's how publishers make sure there's buzz happening about books, and because the booksellers have got to buy into it. And big chain bookstores are great too, they serve a purpose, but many book publisher reps will tell you that indie bookstores have made careers for authors, and that's just the best feeling. But and that's part of how they do it with those advanced readers copy. So I'm reading a book that comes out early next year by the wonderful Dr. Emily Nagoski, who is a sex educator, and she wrote Come As You Are, and that's a bestseller here in our store. And she has this next one is called Come Together, and it's about sexual health and your sexual future as a couple. And she is down to earth. She's hilarious. And she gave us a little shout out on Instagram the other day. And so now
her newsletter, her
yes.
national newsletter. We're so excited.
So
she's a hero.
Yeah. So we're trying to get her to come see us.
You hear that, Emily? We're waiting for you.
I love it. That is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I always joke that it's fun for me because my book list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer with all the recommendations, business and non-business wise. So I get to add some new ones on here. It's fun for me. But final rapid fire question before we start kind of our, I don't know, official wrap up here. But if you could choose, this one's just kind of fun, but if you could choose just one area of your business, and you only get to choose one, where you can take a little bit of magic dust and sprinkle it all over that one spot in your business, where and you wake up tomorrow, it's like 10 times, 100 times better than it is today, where would you choose to put that magic dust?
So, I think a lot of retail business owners would say that we would love a more steady cash flow through the year. That is the challenge with retail businesses in general.
Right.
And then the book business in particular, because of the way we pay invoices, it's even a little more challenging
like
sometimes.
This.
Yeah.
It's like this. And it'd be great to have a little more of this.
Yeah. 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 But I think that's common. Yeah.
Do y'all find fairly, is it seasonal? Is there like a point in the season, like every year it's always like January or whatever the month is?
Yes and no. There are seasonal changes, but it has not been the same from year to year. And that is what is keeping us really confused. There's been so many unique variables every year that have changed it. So for example, this year we were fine in the spring, and then summer hit, and it was so hot in Central Texas that people just hibernated. Nobody came out.
We did not see our regular customers all summer.
So we saw a huge drop in our regular business in July and August and into September, which was unusual because it was just so hot, and nobody could have predicted that and how that would have affected things. So yeah, we had not really planned for that.
Yeah, we didn't plan for a heat dome.
Yeah, we didn't. We weren't thinking about that. Yeah. But otherwise we know to prepare for the Christmas holidays or things like that. But heat domes, we didn't know.
Yeah, that's always a tough one. That was definitely a part of the year where the kids and I didn't get out of the house very much at all. It's like, I can't even go to a playground. It's too hot.
You might die if you left the house this summer. I mean,
it was a safety risk.
Well, for those that are watching that want to, check out all of the amazing things that y'all are up to, want to come check out the store, where can we remind them to go to, one, come in physically and actually see the store, but if they're online, want to check things out later, where can they go for more information or to give you guys a follow?
Okay, so online, you can go to our website, which is just larkandowlbooksellers.com, and you spell it the and. And then on social media, on Facebook, it's also Lark and Owl Booksellers. And on Instagram, Lark and Owl Booksellers. I hope I said that enough times so you know, but we are on all of those places.
Yeah.
Instagram is a fun way to follow us because we do always put up fun stories and tidbits and things. And then once you come into the store or through our website, you can sign up for our newsletter. And if you do that, you'll get a first dibs on all of our events and ticket sales and new books coming out. So that's a great way to have kind of the insider track on everything that we're doing. And then our physical store.
Our physical store is at 205 West 6th Street in Georgetown. We are in the downtown area. It is beautiful here. The parking is free. Everybody in Austin, the parking is free in Georgetown. And we get a lot of people driving by because we're right off the I-35 corridor. So we're a great place if you're traveling to anywhere, San Antonio, Houston, whatever, just stop off where you can get a snack and the kids can go to the bathroom. You can get some books or games for them to play in the car. So it's a great stop. And then to add to our online thing, like I said before, bookshop.org, but also Libro FM, which is libro.fm, which is the audiobook distributor for independent bookstores. And we cannot say enough good things about either one of those companies. They are phenomenal. Bookshop is a non-profit, and then Libro is a B Corp, and they put their money where their mouth is, and they are so supportive of us. We can't say enough. Hi, Mark, we love you. Yeah.
So if you go to either one of those and just search for our store name, Lark and Owl Booksellers, we have a storefront on each of those platforms. So you can buy your audiobooks or you can buy your own books and have them sent straight to your home instead of using the other big company. You can use this one instead, and it helps not only us personally if you select us, but all the other independent bookstores also get a percentage of the profits too.
That's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. And for those that are watching, I'm going to put as much of this information as I can in the video description below. So make sure you go click the links, check it all out. If you're in Georgetown, please go check them out in person, especially if you haven't been in just downtown Georgetown in general. It is a beautiful place to go. So go check out all of it and make sure you make your way over to Lark and Owl. As we wrap up, I always like to end on one kind of final question here. And that's simply, what is most inspiring to you today?
Oh, well, I would have to say our staff. I'm continually every day I'm inspired by them. And I say that when I go out the door to my family, I say I get to go work with whoever I'm working with that day. And we have so much fun and we laugh, but we also solve problems. So here's one thing I like to say. There's not really very many places where you see the full range of human emotion, but you do at a bookstore, at an independent bookstore. We have people who come in when they are celebrating, when they're lonely, when they're grieving, when they want to meet somebody, when they want to talk, when they want ideas, when they want information. And that is stunning. I mean, it takes our breath away.
Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Well, I want to say thank you again for allowing some time here today and sharing a bit of your story about the amazing things that y'all have going on. It's just so cool to see and have this conversation. I just want to say thank you once again for taking the time today.
Thank you, Tanner.
Yeah.
Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, we'd love it. Yeah. Come see us.